Welcome into the studio. I'll be doing a new Tony Stark human portrait on my Patreon channel. That's going to be packed full of tips and techniques, and that's coming in March 2021. But I thought on this video I'd take some time and show you exactly how I drew this eye using pastel pencils on pastel matte paper. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, so as I'm starting to draw in the eye, I thought I'd just briefly go over what I've done so far. I'm using pastel matte paper, as I said, that's the dark grey paper. I used black gouache paint for the background just to act as an underlayer that doesn't smudge, and I've talked about that on lots of my other videos. I made a start on the right hand side as we're looking at the screen because I wanted to get the shadow colours in first. Now I'm coming across to the left hand side. I'm making a start on the white of the eye. And as you can see, the one thing to keep in mind pretty much always with the white of the eye is usually anything but white. And we're usually a bit more prone to putting it much lighter and whiter than it really is. So it really pays to study your reference photo, get little swatches or white paper, put some white paper right next to the white of the eye in the reference photo so you can see how far from white it is. Once again, I show lots of tips of color matching on my YouTube channel and the Patreon channel as well. Now, the thing that attracted me to this particular photo was the extreme light. I really love that side lighting. It gives a lot more shape and form to the subject, and I like the play off between a light, more natural coloured side of the face and a darker, more blue and purple side of the face in the shadows. I think that makes it much more interesting for the viewer to look at. Now, along with extreme lighting conditions like this usually comes extreme colours. So as you can see, I'm going really dark in this shadow area, but the colour is really more of a plum colour. So not what you would expect. Lots of beginners, novice artists, they think a shadow is always going to be grey, and the dark shadows normally contain a lot of bounce light and bounce colour going into them. So particularly look in your reference photos for colours in dark shadows. That's what really separates a professional or lively piece of art from something that looks, less lively and perhaps more beginner style or format. So now I'm going in gently over that plum colour with my black pastel pencil, because especially with pencils you very rarely get something extremely dark and colourful at the same time. So you don't usually get very, very dark, rich browns. And I mean almost black, but still rich in colour. So the blackness is referring really to the tone. So a dark, dark tone, but still rich in colour. So very often you may have to put something dark underneath and then put the colour on top, or vice versa, to try and get both the tonal darkness and the richness of colour. Now, pastel matte paper has a textured surface. So you can see as I'm going on there now, it's got a bit of a grainy appearance to it. That's just because I haven't pushed that pastel down further into the tooth of the paper just yet. As I continue to layer and blend, you'll see that smoothness, it's really fantastic with pastels, will start happening. You can see that on the forehead already. That's just the basic colours on the forehead. And here I'm using a hard paper stump. They're only really, really cheap. And you can see how I'm pushing that gently into the surface of the pastel matte paper, and you can see that grainy or gritty appearance is fading away. Okay, so it's getting really soft, really subtle. I'm using small circular strokes. Now you could do that with your finger. It's not quite as effective as using a stump, and when it's a small area such as this, that's where the finger doesn't really fit in place. So that's where those cheap paper stumps really come into their own. But if you're struggling with that grittiness, or that speckledy appearance you think you're getting on pastel matte paper. It's all about pushing those initial layers down into the deep surface of that paper. Now the colours in the eye are really subtle. We've got some browns, a bit of a greeny tinge to it as well. The shape of my drawing on the right hand side is not exactly like the shape of the photo, and that's because I've got that camera angle come in at about 45 or 60 degrees so that I'm actually out of the shot. Okay, so don't be concerned about the shape of my drawing in relation to the reference photo. Think more about these being lessons for technique. Now we go a little bit darker around the edge of the eye. It's not black, it's a dark brown. So don't think all darks and then reach for black automatically. When you're trying to get something realistic, it's all about studying the subject. You've really got to study the subtle colours that you're seeing. Now this comes with time. I've been drawing and painting for many years. I find then I get that impression that I'm seeing more colours or more subtle colours, but I've got on my YouTube channel and my Patreon channel lots of videos now showing easy, simple ways to try and train your brain to see those subtle colours, like pulling out colours with a colour picker on your software, your photo editing software, by folding your reference photo and putting it over your drawing to look for differences. And more ways than that as well. So use all of these tools to really look for the subtle color changes and tonal changes as well. Now that's the major work on the eye done, and then you start thinking about more subtle differences in the colors. So when you've got the major work done, then you're thinking about refining it. Can areas go perhaps a little bit darker? Do they need to be coloured a bit more? You need to get the major masses in first. Here you can see I'm darkening that shadow area again on the eyelid and above the eye socket in between the brow. Putting some of that purple colour on top. You can see that colour in the reference photo. Now remember, colours don't need to be exactly the same for the drawing or the painting to work. The absolute most important part is the tonal value, the lightness and the darkness. Okay, so don't beat yourself up if you can't get the exact match. And also, don't forget, you're putting your own representation on your drawing, on your artwork. You don't have to copy things exactly, and don't let anybody else tell you any different. You're doing the drawing, you're doing it for your own enjoyment. So if you think an area needs to be changed, you change it. You don't have to be like a photocopier trying to duplicate things. And on my Patreon art channel is over 100 videos on there now, full length. I show you the techniques so you can then take it and apply it to all your other work. Okay, so I don't go giving out, other than a couple of very beginner videos, I don't go giving out pencil numbers or colors, because as you can see on this video, I'm changing colors, I'm layering colors, I'm getting these really subtle effects. You can't be giving out pencil numbers like that all the time. You just get a kind of a paint by numbers effect. That's my personal opinion. But on my videos I show you instead how to see the colors, how to find the colors. So we've got under the eye, we've got a bit of that purple hue going on. I build up very slowly and very lightly with human skin. There's so many things going on with human skin that we don't really get when we do things like even gorillas. The skin seems to be much thicker, but with human skin what we're seeing is past and through the first couple of or many layers of skin going down. We're seeing the muscle underneath, the colours of the muscle, the blood flow as well in different areas is different. And we're also seeing that the skin is being acted upon on the surface, so not just underneath but on the surface, by the things that surround it, by the light that's shining on it and the objects that's bouncing colours into it. So there's so much going on with human skin. It pays then to take your time and really build the layer up slowly, making fine adjustments and layering one colour on top of another. Under the eye you can see very light pressure, putting some of that quite muted brown that's going into the white of the eye. And it's all starting to look a little bit more realistic now as I'm refining this area. Still a long way to go on the portrait, but I'm really taking my time trying to get everything right. The eyes are a super important part of any drawing, whether it's an animal or human. We're naturally attracted to the eyes, to look into the eyes, so they are something we really need to get just right. Now it's only when the highlights start coming in that things really start to take shape. So even just a little touch in the corner there of the socket, you can see that that touch has made things appear like the light is coming and catching that edge. Around here you can see we've got that nice rich shadow, purple or reddish colour. You use your fingers as well as stumps to blend in and soften areas, but very often I found doing skin and the flesh, I'm using my pencils right on the side and really building up layer upon layer of glazes, just like we would with oil paints. And there's lots of greys in skin, and in the shadow side there's especially lots of greens. They may be very subtle, but they're certainly in there, and that's another thing I show really in depth on this video series. So once an area like the eye is pretty much done, I like to work out from it. So you're using the eye then as your reference. You've got your darks in there, you've got your lights in there, then you can work out from there. You're judging one area against another all the time. So I hope this short video has helped you, and as I said, the new video series of this is going to be quite a few hours long. That's going to be on my Patreon channel real soon, so sometime during March 2021. And once again, when you join up on there at a certain tier, say it's for instance a $9 tier, you get access to all of the videos on that tier that I've done over the last few years. So for $9 you get access to over 100 videos. Hope to see you there soon. Just wanted to quickly mention my Patreon channel for those looking for even more in-depth art instruction. It's packed full of pastel videos, oil videos as well, and those videos are being added to new ones every single month. I have videos for the complete beginner that have never done pastels or oils before with just limited supplies, and I take you from the very first blocking in all the way through to the final detailed drawings and paintings. I've also got some really unusual subjects as well, and in all of my videos I always take you through all the details. You see everything I do, how I create my work. But it's not just for beginners, it's also for novices, and I also show the best artwork that I've ever done as well. And this particular elephant video spans 6 hours, so you know you're going to see tons and tons of details, tips and techniques. And as mentioned, I've got lots of oil videos on there too, so there really is something for everybody, and you get access to hundreds of hours worth of videos for just $4. Now over 1,000 members strong, Hope to see you there soon.